Kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1826. We are celebrating 5 years of continual daily lives. And as you can see, Casey, who is the instigator for all of this, is here joining us tonight. Casey, welcome.
I am so excited, Helen. This is really an awesome accomplishment for sure. I'm super excited.
Oh, thank you. And you're the one that started it all 5 years ago. Did you even think, well, you probably could because you can think very, very big, that 5 years ago when you issued me a challenge to do a Facebook Live every day for a year, that it would turn into 5 years?
I'll say yes and no, and I'll tell you why. I think this goes to the character of who you are as a person. And when I talk to people about starting lives and doing lives and giving them a direction when they need to get exposure and they want to learn to communicate better and they want to build an audience and they want to grow their business. Most people, I'll say 99.99999 with a line over it, percentage of people, basically everybody but you, never does it past 30 days, much less 5 years. Given that, I knew 5 years ago where your heart was, what you wanted to accomplish, what your path was, and so I say, do I think that it would have turned into 5 years? Yes, because it was you, and it shows who the integrity of you are as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman. No, in the sense that most people won't, well, they just won't make the commitment. Is bottom line. Yeah. Like that's just bottom line. So that's a long-winded answer. And it's funny. I'm normally so much more hyper and enthusiastic, but I flew up to Seattle, and I've been here for all of 36 hours, and so far 24 of those 36 hours, I'm absolutely sick. So I know I sound normally nasally, but I'm extra nasally today. I've got my Kleenex here. I just took more Dayquil, and so if I'm not as just know that my enthusiasm is here. And Alessia said congratulations on 5 years. She's absolutely awesome. She's going
to be coming on as a guest. She just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, she makes a fantastic guest for sure.
Oh, she is such an incredible person. I cannot wait to get her on the show because and we've got 3 already booked for August. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to get her in August too if we can. I've got several lined up that we're just trying to nut down the dates. But before we get into the nitty gritty of things, if you are watching us live, please scan the QR code that's up here because we have a very special gift that is going to be sent to you if you are here live on the show with us. So scan the code, fill out the form, and yes, we are asking for a mailing address because it is something that's going to be physically mailed to you. What is it? I'm not telling you. It's a surprise. I love surprises.
And Helen, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Who thought 5 years ago that you would be doing, or did you think that you would be doing lives 5 years continuously? Did you think that you would be literally combining multi-channels of technology? Because I see we're on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube Live, we're using Restream here. I'm driving this to my Facebook channel. You've got a QR code in the past you're using, I'm assuming, Mailbox Power to drive gift. Like, if we looked at you 5 years ago, where do you think you would have been looking back, looking forward?
I don't know. I wouldn't have pictured myself here doing what we are doing. I was, 5 years ago when you said to me, Helen, I got a challenge for you. I said, what is it? Oh, somebody just
scanned the QR code. Ooh, we love this technology.
Wow, that's awesome. But 5 years ago, you said to me, Helen, I have a challenge for you. I said, what is it? And you turned around and said, I want you to do a Facebook Live every day for a year. And I went, okay. And then I was driving from LA back to San Diego again. And it was there towards the end of July because I'd just gotten back from New Zealand and my parents were about to arrive from New Zealand. And then we're embarking on a 3,227-mile trip in Sparkles. And it was going to be the first major road trip. And so I said, right, I'll start it on the 1st of August when we start our road trip. And so that's how that all started. And then on the drive back, I'm like, oh crap, I got to come up with 365 ideas. And then I realized that 2020 was leap year. And I said, damn it, you got an extra day out of me. So I wasn't sure if I was even going to make it to a year. So making it to that year was awesome. And then it just year after year after year. So it was, it's been quite a journey. I even went back and I pulled some things we did in the past 5 years, even though we've been doing 1,826 days, we've actually done almost 2,800 videos. 2,800 lives, because during the global pause in 2020 into 21, I was doing 2 a day. I was doing morning and evenings. So, we got up there with almost 2,800. So I was like, ooh, that's a big number. And I've had over 30 guests. I could only remember 30 of them. But I know there's more. I've traveled, and during all the lives, I've traveled over 12,000 kilometers around the United States and into British Columbia as well. So, because it was all learning the journey of me driving in Sparkles and figuring out where I was going and what I was doing and everything else. So,
isn't that the kind of journey? Doesn't it just kind of sum up the business journey in the first place? I kind of didn't know where I was going to go. I got in and kind of just went, and I didn't really know where I was going to end up, where I was going to land. And here we is.
And here we is. And they even saw me. They even got to meet Zeffie the day that I adopted her as well, which was the 16th of November in 2019. She's actually in her bed on the floor over here, but you can't see her because she's at the far end of it. She doesn't like being on camera very much.
Well, and Helen, let's. I know I'm like totally like turning this and going to interview you now. It sounds like, but
that's what we always do every year on this day. We always do this, so let's go for it.
It's. I think it is so important just for folks that like. I think what happens is a lot of times we come back and do this show every year, and we always get comments like, "That's incredible! This is awesome! You're amazing!" And yes, you are all of those things, but I think it actually speaks to a broader commitment to learn to communicate better, learn to embrace technology, learn to embrace change, knowing that your commitment to this process, the commitment to the business, the commitment to building an audience, the commitment to communicating, the commitment to sharing your life with the people that are interested.
Mm-hmm.
Was it that big of a commitment once you made the decision?
Actually, no, it wasn't. It was actually pretty easy because you said, look, you're starting to live in Sparkles, you're starting to go for these drives, so take us along on the journey. And that's kind of where we started. And then things evolved as times changed, things happen, world events happened and things like that. And so we evolved and we changed with it. I mean, I always used to just do my lives on my phone. And here I am sitting at my NASA, my version of NASA space station. I've got the phone here on the live so I can see if there's any comments from Facebook. I've got, all of this stuff going on here.
Yeah, and look, here's what makes it so cool. Like you and I both work with a lot of business people. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we both hear constantly is, oh, technology freaks me out. I'm scared of tech. I'm not good at tech, yada, yada, yada. I want to take you back 5 years. 5 years ago, what would you have said if I said to you, Helen, in 5 years, you will have done 2,800 videos. You will have done 1,800 some odd days live. You would be literally referring to your tech setup as NASA Space Center. What would you have thought back then?
I would have thought you were batty. I would have thought you had a few marbles loose.
This is what is so impactful, I think, for people to understand is that you were not a techno person. You were not a technology-driven person. If I remember right, you didn't even really particularly like technology. Brad was around. Brad was the IT guy.
Brad was my technical guru on anything technical. I would just take my laptop and go, please fix it.
Exactly.
I know enough about technology to be dangerous. I am a person who worked for a computer company on their help desk. I would take all the calls and everything else, and and this is back in the days when you had to use DOS to do commands and things. And this was 30 years ago. And I typed in a command and I immediately picked up my phone and I called the PC guy downstairs, the software engineer. I said, and he goes, and Eric answers his phone and goes, he goes, Helen, how can I help you? I says, I think I just deleted my C drive. And he says, I'll be right up. And he came up and got it all back up and then wrote the commands down on a Post-it note and stuck it on my monitor.
This is exactly my point. You went from
Yeah.
there to where you are today. I know that you
Mhm.
use technology every single day. You use it flawlessly. I watch you when we have the honor of having you work with us when we do our Networking Riches events. And I just sit there and sometimes I literally like tear up a little bit going, wow, you just had the commitment to bust through. Was it easy every day? Of course not.
Nope.
Was there days where there was challenges? Of course.
Yep.
Were there days where your battery was dead on your phone and your laptop, but you still made it work? Yes. And it came down to your commitment was stronger, right? Your commitment
Mhm.
was stronger than the adversity that it was going to take to get through that commitment. Right?
Absolutely. And there
Hey,
were
Bill
days that I
Gross is
was
with
like,
us. Emmeline is with
yeah,
us. Like, this is
I know
awesome.
we've got some
Daniel's with us.
awesome
Great.
people.
I mean,
I know there was days where it was like literally 2 minutes before going live. I'm like, I have no, and I look at Zeffy and go, Zeffy, we're going to go do a show. I got no idea what I'm talking about tonight.
but again, it comes down to the commitment to the show. The
Yep.
commitment to the commitment is stronger than your embarrassment or your
Absolutely.
lack of understanding or knowing what we're going to do for the day.
Absolutely.
It's and I think that is just so critically important from a a business perspective. Most people will not have the commitment. Let me rephrase that. Most people, having worked with literally now thousands of business owners, most people will not make the decision to have a commitment.
Yeah.
Right? And Bill Gross, by the way, he is the probate expert in real estate nationwide. If you have
Mm-hmm.
any interest in real estate or questions about probate, you got to check Bill out. And he even said it in here that you were the one that triggered his commitment to start his video channel. He now has a YouTube channel that's going
Ballistic.
going all over the world. He's been able to be positioned, and this is why I say this to everybody. But Helen, it's just I'm tagging into Bill because he's here. He's right. Most people won't do anything, much less something, and most people won't
Mhm.
commit to something because it's easier to commit to nothing. And then what happens is Bill Gross. When I met Bill Gross, we would go to this real estate meetup group at the Sizzler in Van Nuys, and we all sat around and we used to have these conversations, and I kind of gave Bill the same sort of thing with you. It's like, look, at you guys need to be on video. It's literally where the audience is built. And here we sit 5 years later, and Bill Gross literally cannot go to the Sizzler because number one, he doesn't have the time because he's building and growing his business. I think he just said he listed properties for $10 million from his YouTube channel, right? And secondly, he can't go to Sizzler because he shows up there and people think he's like the biggest celebrity and he is signing autographs and he's having all of
Yep.
this notoriety and fame. He's building a ginormous EXP business, which is a real estate agency. I literally was at Sizzler one time where a woman showed up and said, "Hey, Bill, I just joined your EXP team from your YouTube channel." He had never met her. He had never talked to her, but
Yep.
people get to know you through the use of video, right? And Helen, that's why I think so many people that know you and love you and you get all these compliments and people talk about you and everybody kind of in the scene, if you will, knows who you are,
Mhm.
is because you made the commitment to like chuck your camera on and do a video every day. Are they all amazing, awesome videos? No.
Nope.
Some of them
Some of
suck.
them suck.
But that's okay. Because going back to Bill's point, most people won't do anything.
Well, the thing that gets me is all these people that turn around and go, "Oh, I can't get on video," and I look at them, and I remember you told me years ago before you even challenged me. This was like way in the Wayback Machine, when you said to me, we were talking about video and people talking about getting on videos and things. In fact, I think it was even before Facebook Lives even started. And you said, "Look, you need to get on YouTube. You need to get these videos up there." People go, "Oh, but I don't look too good." And you turn around and you said, "You look how you look. You sound how you sound. Deal with it."
This actually comes from, it's actually funny you say that and bring this up because this is one of the things that cracks me up just from sort of an outside looking in perspective. I used to produce movies for a living, right? And so I spent a lot of time around movie and TV cameras. And then when I started kind of working with business owners and company owners, I would hear that all the time. Oh, the camera adds 10 pounds. Oh, I look terrible. Oh, the lighting's terrible. And I'm like, you realize, having worked with the most sophisticated cameras on the planet, the cameras don't have little people inside of them making you look fatter or skinnier or bigger or smaller or more dark or more or light, darker or lighter. It just simply reflects I mean, listen, let's face it. I don't really sound like this. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's you look and sound exactly how you look and sound. So if you don't like the way you look or you don't like the way you sound, you know what? It's up to you to make that decision to change.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of making that decision and just doing it.
Well, yeah. Oh, I say too many ums. I stutter. I don't know my words. I don't know what I'm going to say.
I'm umming and erring all the time.
Yeah. So Alessio just asked here. So it's really funny. Bill said he sucked for a long time until he got good. I would make the argument that Bill was great at communicating. He might have needed some minor technical challenge, but once that got all licked, 5-10 videos in, he's fine, right? That's how I think we all are. We don't give ourselves enough credit. I don't know why. I've just decided apparently like that I'm going to hijack your show, Helen. So Alessi says, what do you recommend to tell somebody if they don't feel like they have anything valuable to talk about on a live, or if nobody joins them on a live, how to carry on with a one-sided convo, right? This is my favorite.
This is my favorite question too.
So Helen, why don't you answer it, and I'll give my 2 cents worth.
Okay, so you gave me this advice years ago. I have given this advice to so many people, and not one person has followed up and done it. It is what is it that you know? And if you are in a profession, like at the time I was doing full-time into travel. So you said to me, what are 20 frequently asked questions that people ask you? Do 1 video per question, and then turn around and say, what are 20 questions that people should ask a travel professional but don't? And there's another, so that's 40 videos right there, right then. And you're having a one-sided conversation. So you're talking with yourself. So, like you practice in the mirror, you're practicing on camera when you can see yourself. If you can't see yourself, it doesn't matter. There's somebody on the other side. There could be a dog over the background. If you're outside, there's people over there. Maybe you're talking to the people that are sitting in the chair in the park there or something, or having a picnic. There's always something around that you can talk to, a tree, a dog. There's something, but
it's funny that you bring that up because, and Alessia's question is really valid because, and I'll give you kind of a funny story. I'm a speaker, so I'm used to being in a room filled with people where I can feel their energy, I can see their faces, I can tell whether they're laughing at my stupid jokes, whether they're clapping or they're getting up and leaving because I'm terrible, whatever it is, I can feed off that energy. And I was being interviewed on the radio, on a radio interview, and that was going to be translated into a book. And I did the radio interview, and I was terrible. Probably one of the worst things I've ever done. It was like, it still stinks up the radio waves, I'm sure. Because I couldn't see the host. I didn't know if they were laughing. I didn't know if they were flipping me off. I didn't know what the heck they were doing. I didn't know their reactions. I couldn't see them, so I couldn't take facial cues. It was terrible. And I was like, oh, this is really awful. And this is back in the Wayback Machine. I mean, this was probably like 15 years ago. So I decided that I better practice being able to give good podcast interviews or give good radio interviews because a lot of them don't have an audience. So I started, and Helen, I remember you being on those. I went and got an Insta Telegram account, and I started a weekly one-sided conference call. It was called the Double Your Check Call, and I got on every week and I just talked. And what it was so difficult because it was like I can't even tell if there's any, and I purposely would not allow myself to see if people were even on the show. And it was because I had to practice that way of communicating. But now, my gosh, if I was trying to come up with ways to do video, a lot of people that work with me, we do newsletters, right? So, and this is something that even I fail at, and I'm the one that talks about this all the time. I do a newsletter every Wednesday. It comes out. The article I write out, it comes out every Wednesday. I should literally flip the camera on and talk about the video that corresponds to the exact topic that I just did the newsletter on, right?
Absolutely. Why are you not doing that?
Frequently asked questions. You could do book reviews. Like, we all have a bookcase filled with books that are usually tend to skew towards what we're interested in, right? So, like Alessia works with primarily women and teaches them to travel solo, and it's a very lifestyle, healthy kind of coaching slash all around lifestyle business, right? So my guess is you could do travel tips, you could do restaurant reviews, you could do reviews on different different ways to, like, she did a great video on, like, when you're an introvert and you want to go networking, but you're traveling by yourself, to go sit at the bar by yourself and have a restaurant. I'm always a guy that, like, sits off in a corner by myself and, like, doesn't want to look at anyone.
Me too.
Go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm going to do 50 videos on this particular topic. Give me 50 video ideas, and then pin them up. I do a, it's in the other room, but I carry these little black notebooks with me everywhere I go, and I jot down notes in there. So it's a matter of making the commitment and making that commitment stronger than anything else. And we all have value no matter what. If you don't have value, then it's going to be hard running a business, because a business is literally two people decide. The purpose of a business is to exchange value for value. At the end of the day, that's all business is. It's exchanging some type of value over here for some type of value over here. One side of that equation usually is money, right? So I solve this problem over here in exchange for money, right? We all buy solutions. It's the only thing people buy.
Yep, absolutely.
It's the only thing people buy. I can't see, I need glasses. I'm naked, I need a shirt. Helen doesn't have a tiara, she needs a tiara, right? It's hot, Helen needs a fan, right? I need a shelter, I buy a house. We only buy solutions. So when we are talking on video or building an audience, we need to be talking about the solutions that we provide. The value that we provide is really just, let me break it down differently. Let me go down a different road. The statistic right now for the average TrustPoint product, okay, so there are lower TrustPoint products and services and higher TrustPoint products, right? Bills in probate, pretty high TrustPoint. Somebody died, they need to get rid of their house, right? Zeffie needs dog food. Helen's it's pretty high trust. She doesn't want to feed Zeffie crap, right? But buying flowers for someone, fairly low trust point. I need flowers. I saw a picture. Let me sell flowers. But the average trust point product, people need to consume 700 minutes from us in order to make a positive buying decision. Now let's think about that for a second. 700 minutes is approximately 12 hours, okay? Now think about this. How often are you in front of your ideal client? If you know they have to consume 12 hours of time with you, doesn't it make sense that video is an easy one that somebody can go watch some videos on you? They can go to your Facebook page and read some videos on you, right? I presume that somebody that's going to drop a $10 million property in Bill Gross's lap has probably watched some videos. They know he knows what he's talking about. They get it. He's probably not on the phone with them for 12 solid hours.
Yeah.
Right? So
I one time had a cruise client, and this is well before my life, so this is way back, probably around the time that you started the Platinum Inner Circle, somewhere around that time. But I had a guy call me up, and he had found me on Google. He saw I had a YouTube channel. He went and watched, and at the time I only had like about 32 videos on there. He watched every single one of those videos before he called me to book his family's cruise.
It's important.
Now there's over 3,000 videos on that channel.
Buy TrustPoint product. I'm going to take my family and I'm going to fly somewhere. I'm going to put them on a ship out in the middle of some sea somewhere. I want to make sure that they take care of my allergies, or if my kids have special needs, that the ship can take care of special needs. I've got several family members. How do the cabins work? Do I really trust? Who am I going to trust more? The representative at Costco or Helen. And
Yeah.
let me just say for the record, my mom went to Costco. Go ask my mom today what that cruise was. She took 8 people on an Alaskan cruise. By the way, she did get 30 lashings because of this. She will sum up the cruise by disaster because she was not in a position where she had consumed some content to understand why you don't book a cruise through a Costco membership. We all have that just in business, right? As a guy who, I acquire businesses, I consult, I advise, I run a mastermind, all of this stuff. People are not going to sell me their business or invite me in as a consultant or join our Platinum Inner Circle or join our Premium Platinum Inner Circle, which we haven't really ever talked about, until they know me, like me, trust me, remember me. And most of the time, I can count on less than one hand how many people have joined one of those programs because they saw me for 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know whether the philosophy aligns with them. They want to know people's results, all of that stuff. And that's what we all have to be able to do, is be able to provide that 700 minutes of communication time. And here's what happens. Look at what BNI, Latip, Chambers, all of those do. You got to get in your car, drive there, and you spend 1 hour with those people. When do most people start doing business in those things? 3, 60, 90, 120 days in. You know why? Because weekly you're there an hour. And after 12 sessions, you've been there basically 700 minutes.
Yep. So I have to address something that Bill put in here. He said he did videos with no sound. Don't worry, Bill. It's not a problem. Technology will. I did a complete interview with Peggy Beauregard, and my camera was on my side, but nobody could see it on any of the lives. So the video is actually recorded with mine blank, and all you can see is Peggy. So you got a blank square for me, and Peggy was there, and that was that one.
We almost had that experience today.
We did. And then I had another time I had Kimberly Todd Tulos on, and we're sitting there talking. My internet dropped. So she carried on the show while I got back online for me. So things will happen, and you just go with the flow. You can't turn around and go, oh, what did I do? Just go with the flow.
The two things I think that kill business owners fastest are imposter syndrome, right? And lack of commitment.
Yep.
Right? So it's imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough to share what I want. Well, you know what? Here's the reality. People like to buy from people they feel are like them. Right? They just do. So if you say, I'm not good enough to do a video on cooking, here's the reality. There are people that are just as nervous about cooking, following somebody. They want to feel like they are going to be able to make a mistake, and they're not going to be able to be made fun of.
Yeah.
Right? And so
I've gotten to the point in life where I just don't care. I am who I am. If you don't like me, go on to the next video. Go on to the next channel. If you're on TikTok and I'm on live, or you see a TikTok video there and you don't like it, swipe up. It's not a problem. I got to the point now, I don't care. I am who I am. And if you like me, you can stay and watch. If you don't, swipe away. That's as simple as it. Oh, and we must remind everybody to scan the QR code up here too, because if you're on here live, you're going to get a really cool free gift. This one up in the top corner up here. So
Helen, how does it feel after 5 years? Let's talk about what the future is. Are we going for another 5 years?
I'm still trying to figure out that, we're at 5 years, and I'm like thinking, and then I was looking back over some of the shows I've done, the guests I've had on and things like that. And I looked at it and I was sort of like, it has been over 5 years since I was on a cruise ship, because I've never done in the last 5 years, I've never done anything from a cruise ship. I have never done anything in the last 5 years from New Zealand, which means I haven't been home to New Zealand in 5 years. So the last time I was on a cruise was December of 2018. I was almost on one in February of last year, but thanks to a flight back home from Tampa, I got COVID, so I couldn't go.
That was our Platinum Inner Circle cruise. I'd like to just point out, we missed you tremendously on that ship.
I was in tears on that one. And so they got to see me through COVID, because COVID wasn't even going to stop me doing my lives either. So I was on during while I had COVID as well. And I was giving people updates on the symptoms I was having, and it was sort of like, hey, I can smell again. day before I couldn't smell. Now I can smell again. And then the last time I was home in New Zealand was July of 2019 for my brother's 50th birthday. And so I suddenly thought, wow, I need to get home. I need to get on a cruise ship and I need to get home because I want to test out doing lives, because a lot of the cruise lines are saying, you know, you can now get this package here, which has all the whippy-doo stuff. You can do lives, you can stream, blah, blah, blah. So I want to actually get on board a ship and test it. But I do have a rule, and it's been used twice in the last 5 years, that if, oh yeah, I forget, I could have been doing this. Oh, let's get some.
I don't know how you do that. Why don't I I don't get anything fancy.
Well, it's probably not turned on your thing. But the one I like is, which one is it? I think it's this one. Got lasers going now. That's a new one. Now tell us my train of thought. Oh yeah. So what was I talking about? We're talking about New Zealand cruises.
We were just talking about what's the next 5 years look like, and you were going back.
Oh yeah, because I was going back on the thing. So yeah, New Zealand's going to be a challenge because of the time difference, because I want to keep it at the same time. So that means that if I'm, depending on the time I'm down there, it'll either be 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on what time I go down to New Zealand, if they're in daylight saving, if they're not. You don't click on the QR code, Emmeline, you scan it with your phone.
Yep, she's on the phone watching. So you should be able to go back, Emmeline, anybody else that wants to scan it. And I know it's on my Facebook page. I'm assuming it's on Helen's as well. Yep. Just go back, pull it up on your computer, and then scan it. Yeah.
So yes, I'm curious to see what it's like, because they're talking about all these whippy-doo speeds that they have now on the ships and things, and so I'm looking forward to seeing.
Leslie said,
hang on, that's what I was talking about. The two times that I was not in an area where I had Wi-Fi or anything else. Both of them, I was beyond the back of Beyond, out in the WAPs. We had no Wi-Fi, but what I did, and my rule was, if I can't do a Facebook Live, I am still going to record a video. And then as soon as I get back into Facebook Live area or into Wi-Fi area, it's uploaded. And that's exactly what I did on the 2 times that I was in an area where we had no Wi-Fi. Well, one camp, they said that they had boosters, but my campsite was here, and a mile across on the other side of the resort is where they had the room that had the boosters. And you had forests and a lake and creeks and what else, and something else, and other RVs and tents and all that between me and there.
Did they have those patios? Did they have patios there where you put lawn chairs out right out the back of it?
On some of the cabins they did. They had the patios there, yeah.
Yeah, what were those? I don't remember. What is? It starts with a P. I can't.
I mean the patio, the veranda.
This one starts with the D. I can't really think of it. I'm making fun.
This is why Siri and I don't talk, because I once asked Siri for the deck plans of a particular ship.
The what plan? The what plan?
Deck plan.
Helen has a problem saying the word
ship, and Siri came back and said, "I'm sorry, but that is inappropriate."
It's just these Kiwis.
So Siri and I do not talk. But Alexa totally understands the Kiwi accent.
So what are we doing for the next 5 years? What's the plan for the show?
I have started the book club up, my book club again. I started the book club 3 years ago and didn't really do anything with it. So now we've started that again. Our first book is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. And so we're going to be doing a review on that on September 7th, because it's the first Saturday of the month is when we're doing our book club reviews, and we're going to be doing that live on Zoom. So that evening I'll be talking about the book and then announcing in the book club Zoom call what our next book's going to be for the next month. And we're going to be doing fiction, nonfiction, all sorts of genres. And then that evening I will announce what the next book is, along with the book review on the book and things like that too. So
are you going to continue doing lives every day?
Yes, for now, yes. There are times I'm like, should I give up on them? And I'm like, then what will I do? No, we've got to keep them going. It lasts for about 2 seconds.
I think the other thing that it does is it also keeps you in the game.
Yeah. There's so much stuff out there and so much stuff I'm doing, and I got a crap ton of information. And yes, that is actually a legal term. I was on my genealogy class last year, and we actually had a woman who used to be a lawyer who is now a genealogist, and she calls herself the legal genealogist or something like that. But anyway, but she used crap ton, and she says, yes, that is a legal definition of a lot of stuff. So I was like, yes, we're good. But yeah, so I've got a crap ton of knowledge from all sorts of stuff that I've done over the years. And there's a lot more that I'm going to be learning. And there is a really cool project I'm working on that Casey doesn't even know about, which I am super excited about. I'm keeping it from him for now because I know if I give it to him now, that poor little seed that's just starting to germinate is going to get washed away in the tsunami. So
We'll be gentle. We'll be gentle.
Fire hoses I can handle, tsunamis not so much. But I think Casey has a crap ton as a registered trademark.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go by crapton.com.
But so yeah, so there's a big major project that is in the works. It's just in infancy right now. It's just a little seed that's just starting to sprout roots. We're doing a ton of research on it so that I can then bring it to Casey, but he will know about it by middle of January.
Middle of January? It's July.
Trust me, I sat with Tirza because she's my collaboration partner on this one. I said I want to bring her in on this.
I'm just going to call Tirza or YT.
No, she's under.
I'll get it out of one of them.
But because I wanted to run the idea past somebody because I needed her technical know-how to see if it was possible. And so she's going to come on board as my technical advisor on that once we get everything going. And so we've got a lot of little projects, a lot of research that's got to be done because I know you're going to want to know the whys, the wherefores, and everything else. And I want to be ready.
I mean, look, everyone. Here's the deal. This is just Helen. First off, I just commend you because I think this is really awesome. But I just really want to go back to talk just for a couple of seconds about the commitment from a business standpoint, right? So now, if I see everybody commenting here is in business, right? So I'm sure there's a bunch of people watching that are in business that are not commenting, and that's super cool. But here's the thing. There are so many, the human experience is shared through stories, through tribal knowledge, through wisdom transfer, and all of those things. And if it's all in your head, then to some extent, my viewpoint is you're kind of a little bit selfish keeping it in your head when there are so many other people, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, that could benefit from what's going on inside your noodle.
This is why I tell everybody they need to tell their story.
Yeah, it's about telling your story. Like if you watch Bill Gross's YouTube channel for any length of time, it's like watching a TV show. You're in his office. You know what he likes. You've stared at his background. You've come up with your whole idea of what's going on in his background. But he may not always do it, but he's going to let you in on a little bits and pieces of his life. I know where Zeffie is more times than I know where Helen is because of her videos, right? It is a way to share the human connection and the human experience, and people will do business that they know, like, trust, and remember. And so the reality is they have to know you. If they don't know you and you're just a robot and a bunch of ads, then it's much harder to do business in today's marketplace. They have to like you. If you are unlikable, now I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get real close to a line here. Politicians get votes by being unlikable. So I do understand that there is a viewpoint of being controversial and unlikable will get a little bit of business, but it also repels a lot of business, right? They have to be able to trust you. And if I look at some of the bigger problems that we have in society, it comes from a lack of trust, right? I don't trust letting my kids stay with this babysitter. I don't trust my family to go to this church. I don't trust this politician. I don't trust this realtor because I got screwed. Like my brother, this is a true story. We literally had this conversation this afternoon. My brother will not go buy any Bitcoin because of an experience he had literally probably 12 years ago where somebody gave him bad advice and he had a bad experience with Bitcoin. He's ruined from buying Bitcoin, even though I am a crypto kid. I speak it all day long. But until my brother crosses over the trust component, he's out of the game. So we talk and I send him videos and I'm trying to get him on board. But until he crosses over that trust, it ain't going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
That's why these videos are so important. It's why, Bill, I truly believe this. I truly believe that Bill Gross is where he is today in large part, not by all part, because he was amazing before he was doing video and staying connected. But I would say that there is a large component of Bill Gross's business that is a direct result of him having the commitment to share his wisdom and experience with an audience that may not be live right in front of him at the time, aka video.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree on that. And getting that stuff up, being in the videos, and if anybody's looking at this going, well, you've done 5 years, I don't even, just start. That's all I'll tell you is just start. Just start with the video and go, hi, my name is. This is who I am. This is what I do.
This is a funny story. I'll give this to all. I'll give this to all of you guys. I had a client. He's a real estate investor, and he didn't like the way he looked. He was terrible at video, and I mean like terrible, like terrible, right? And we had the same conversation, and I said to him, I'm like, listen, you're an investor. People need to know what you're looking at, how you're looking at things, what you're talking about. Teach them why you don't care if the building looks bad. Teach them how to put a dumpster, where to put a dumpster in front of a building. Teach them how to buy a hoarder's house. Teach them. So we had this 30-day video challenge. 30-day video challenge. And the deal was that he had to do a Facebook Live, but when he was done, he could text me, and as soon as it was up, he could delete it. Right? So I didn't give him the best parameters on this one. I just thought, well, he'll do it, he'll text me or whatever. He started doing them at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then texting me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning so he could delete it. And he got about 4 or 5 days in, and I texted him back that he could delete it, and he forgot to delete it. And that was one of the most powerful videos he did. He got tons and tons and tons and tons of comments and engagement. And if I remember right, he actually had somebody call him and say, hey, can I invest with you? Yeah. And when you're raising capital and somebody watches a crappy video that you do, and they all of a sudden want to invest in you, it becomes a whole heck of a lot worth it. And then for years, every time he would go out on a job site or look at a property, he would turn the camera on and talk about why he liked this property, why he didn't like this property. He taught people what stoves to get, how to do an Airbnb, just in his daily life of what was in his brain in the moment. And I think the last I heard is that we've raised about $270 million because of his ability to practice communicating and teaching and taking away people's scary.
I even have a Facebook group, a private Facebook group. It's just got me and Brad in there. And I've called it my Facebook practice live, because when Facebook first came out with the lives, I didn't know what all the buttons were. So I would go live in that group, and I would just practice with all the buttons and everything else till I became comfortable with it. And that's what I did. And, I think that thing still, and then I'd go back in and delete the videos. And so...
Yeah.
But, it's been a lot of things. And the more authentic and I watch a lot of videos. I see a ton of videos, and I see people all made up, and you can sort of like, well, is this person real? Are they not real?
You don't need to talk about watching Bill's videos like that.
Just be who you are. Just sit down, relax, and do what you do best. If you're teaching somebody how to buy a house, if you're teaching somebody, like you said, what stoves they need to put into their things, and okay, Bill, I'll send you a link for the tiara. It's not a problem, and you can get it same day delivery if your order's over $25. But you can do things like this and just sit there and just be authentic. And if something happens, just roll with it. If you get kicked off, just get back on.
Now, Helen, I'm gonna add an addendum to that. I'm gonna add an addendum to that, and that is, oh yay, somebody else scanned the QR code. I love this technology where it literally tells us on our end if somebody scans the QR code.
It actually tells you on the video on the live as well, so everybody else is seeing it too.
Oh, cool! Didn't even know that. Here's the thing. I understand and recognize that some people hear you say authenticity and they're still just not going to do it, right? So here's the deal. If you're going to go out to dinner, just tell yourself that you're going to go out to dinner and you're going to leave the house 15 minutes earlier. And if you got to put on makeup or do your hair or put on a pretty dress or whatever, just do it. Get ready to walk out the door 15 minutes before you're ready to go and do your video then when you're looking your best.
Jeepers, I've done mine in my PJs. I did one in my PJs one night simply because it was like 11:45 p.m. at night. And I turned around and I'm brushing my teeth and I'm like, did I do my live tonight? I'm like, and I couldn't remember. And so I'm like, oh, so got the teeth brushed, ran to the computer, powdered it all up, looked at it and haven't done a live tonight. So I was literally minutes away from ruining my streak at the time and having to start getting it over at number 1. But I got it in and got it done before midnight in my PJs. So, I've done it in my PJs. I've done it with tank tops on. Usually I don't like showing my shoulders. But, it's what it is. And you get me. And the only time I actually get made up like this is when I have special guests on. So, but, no, Bill, I just happened to be brushing my teeth, getting ready to go to bed that night when I realized I hadn't done it.
My teeth are currently furry, so I don't know what to tell you.
My teeth got brushed this morning. Yeah. But Casey, I have to thank you for coming on this evening and helping liven up this conversation. And to everybody who has watched, thank you for tuning in and watching with us. Thank you for scanning the QR codes. You guys are going to get just a little something in the mail in the next few days. It's going to be awesome. I designed it myself. So yeah, that's something else I get to do too. I get to design all this other stuff and things. And we've got some cool stuff coming up in the next month. We've got Debbie Morrow is going to be coming on. I've finally got her locked in on a date. I have Kathy coming on, and she's going to be talking about art journals.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so all the stuff that we bring everybody, for those who haven't been in tune for the last 1,826 days, is that we just bring you stuff to live your best life now. What is preventing you from living your best life now? What hurdles are you overcoming? And do not let age be a barrier, because we had on, was it last week? Hang on. Yeah, Tuesday last week, we had on Peggy Campagna, who turned 80 while she was on a trip in Bosnia. And so she was telling us about the trip and the fact that she is in such really good physical shape right now that her trainer even says that she's in better shape than a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds that he trains. So age is not a barrier at all. There was, I watched a TikTok video of a 93-year-old woman swimming in the swimming pool who had only got interested in swimming at the age of 69. So I was just sort of like, wow, that is totally awesome. And she broke 3 world records while she was in the pool. I don't know what those records were. They just said she broke 3 world records. And I was like, well, can you at least put up there but there was a 15-meter swim that she was doing. And I thought, 93, she's in the pool and she's competing. And she didn't start till she was in her 60s. So age is not an excuse. So do not go there with that. One of my cousins even said to me the other day, she goes, what are you doing? I go, what do you mean? She says, you're looking younger. And on every video I see you on, I'm like, just living the best life now. So, what is your best life that you want? Go out there and live it. We're going to keep on, doing these every day. We've got some really cool guests coming up. I mean, Nicole is a trooper. She comes on the second Tuesday of every month, giving us health tips on how to keep ourselves healthy, so we can live our best life now. So thank you, everybody, for all the support and everything over the last 1,826 days. We are still going to keep going. We are not stopping. We are not slowing down. This train is moving on. Awesome. So we'll keep you posted of everything else. So Casey, thank you again for issuing the challenge 5 years ago. And thank you again for joining us for the celebration. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Helen. You guys are awesome. And we will be back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey, I'll have a super fantastic